Okay, just 1 second. I'm gonna at least record it and then I'll hand it over to you.
Okay.
I'll just
Oh, you record it?
It's streaming now. Okay, now we're live, and then I'll make you the host, and then you will be able to share now.
And what about the recording you said?
It's recording on YouTube.
Okay, great.
So now you can go. You can share.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you very much. So should I start with a little kirtan? Haribol?
Yes, yes, please.
Okay. Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyatyadeshatarini Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Panchatattva Jaya Panchatattva Jaya Panchatattva Jaya Panchatattva Jaya Lakshmi Dara Shiva Jaya Bhakta Prahlad Jaya Lakshmi Dara Shiva Jaya Bhakta Prahlad Jaya Jagannath Jaya Jagannath Jaya Baladev Jaya Subhadra Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivyajakacarya Sudara Sada Shri Shriman, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So offering my humble obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas, I would like to speak on this particular verse today. I think it is very, very important for us to remember, especially because of the racial unrest that we're experiencing and the turmoil and the, difficulties of dealing with the material energy that arises because of the bodily concept of life. We can see how much people are being, tormented on the bodily concept of life, how much they are feeling disturbed and, discriminated against. And there's a really great need for Krishna consciousness. So to bring about real peace, as Srila Prabhupada said, we will not be able to do anything on the platform of anything other than Krishna consciousness. This is the platform of real unity. So I thought, by suggesting this topic to Bhagavan Narada Prabhu, that recognizing divinity is the platform of real unity. So this is verse 518 from the Bhagavad Gita, and I will read it out. Vidya Vinay Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shuni Chaivashvapakecha Pandita Samadarshinaha. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and also purport by Srila Prabhupada, which is: the humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater, or an outcast. Purport: a Krishna conscious person does not make any distinction between species or caste. The Brahmana and the outcast may be different from the social point of view, or a dog, a cow, and an elephant may be different from the point of view of species. But these differences of body are meaningless from the viewpoint of a learned transcendentalist. This is due to their relationship to the Supreme. For the Supreme Lord, by His plenary portion as Paramatma, is present in everyone's heart. Such an understanding of the Supreme is real knowledge. As far as the bodies are concerned, in different castes or different species of life, the Lord is equally kind to everyone because He treats every living being as a friend, yet maintains Himself as Paramatma regardless of the circumstances of the living entity. The Lord as Paramatma is present both in the outcast and in the Brahmana, although the body of a Brahmana and that of an outcast are not the same. The bodies are material productions of different modes of material nature, but the soul and the super soul within the body are of the same spiritual quality. The similarity in the quality of the soul and the super soul, however, does not make them equal in quality, for the individual soul is present only in that particular body, whereas the Paramatma is present in each and every body. A Krishna conscious person has full knowledge of this, and therefore is truly learned and has equal vision. The similar characteristics of the soul and super soul are that they are both conscious, eternal, and blissful. But the difference is that the individual soul is conscious within the limited jurisdiction of the body, whereas the super soul is conscious of all bodies. The super soul is present in all bodies without distinction. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. So in this beautiful verse, Krishna is explaining so clearly to Arjuna that, my dear Arjuna, see with equal vision, because the soul is the same in all bodies. It may be in a tree body, it may be in a plant body, it may be in a fish body, an elephant, a bee, a butterfly, a, atomic thing like a microbe. Everywhere and everywhere we go, living entities are there, not only on this planet, but also other planets. And the same soul is there in all the bodies, all the bodies. And the super soul is accompanying that soul as a faithful friend. Krishna accompanies us through all the species of life, lifetime after lifetime. In fact, Srila Prabhupada says that we have gone through all the 8,400,000 species of life, and finally we have come to the human form of life. So, what a rare opportunity for us to really understand this philosophy that Srila Prabhupada is so mercifully giving us in the form of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamritam, and all the books that Prabhupada has written for our benefit. So, today, speaking of what is happening in the United States, the discrimination, the racism, and all these things that we're experiencing is just because of the bodily concept of life. And after this is over, another form of discrimination will come about, another form of discrimination will come about. So these things will go on and on endlessly unless and until we come to understanding who we really are. We have to really become learned. We have to become pandits. And what is that formula? Humble sage. That we must, with great submission and humility, we must try to understand this knowledge. Now we are talking about racism, black versus white, right now in the United States. But this has been going on for a long time in different forms, in different ways, in different parts of the world. For example, the Nazis, they persecuted the Jews. The Muslims persecuted the Hindus. The Christians persecuted the Muslims. And this way it goes on and on and on and on. Where the end will come? When will the end to all these problems come? Only on the platform of Krishna consciousness we can all unite, as well as understand that every living entity is a child of Krishna, eternally connected to Krishna, and meant to be honored and respected as such. It's not like humans need only humans. We need the trees. If it were not for the trees, we wouldn't have any oxygen to breathe. The trees give out oxygen and take in carbon dioxide, and that's how we are living. The way the trees are being, killed in the Amazon forest, just acres and acres being lost every second practically. We are destroying the very thing which is giving us life here. The bees are getting destroyed because of all the pesticides that we are spraying in the air. And who are the bees? They are the pollinators. It may be just a tiny little living entity, but it is also playing its role in the food cycle chain. So no living entity is to be condemned or thought of as useless or, unworthy or in of no consequence, because every living entity has its role in this web of life on the material platform. Every living entity is important. So that is why a Hare Krishna devotee tries very hard to not only practice this philosophy, but to give this philosophy so that we can actually understand and quit this quarreling and fighting and discrimination and hatred and negativity and just such a terrible, terrible waste of the human form of life to be squabbling and quarreling like this, when all of us should be seriously engaged in service of the Lord through Krishna consciousness. So we have our work cut out for us. We have to help other souls. We have become so fortunate by Krishna's mercy. We have become so fortunate, and we want to help others become fortunate. And Srila Prabhupada was very forthright about all these things. I will share another set of quotes. Srila Prabhupada spoke about how we have to really understand this philosophy in all its magnificence, and we must understand how to give the philosophy also to others. So I'm going to screen share this particular screen by coming back to where we are and doing a screen share. That way you will also be able to see how strongly Srila Prabhupada spoke about these things. Share. Okay, there we are. Okay. So, Harita, can you see this particular quote over here? But Harita, can you see?
Yeah, the one with like Bhagavad Gita. Okay, Bhagavad Gita 2.13 lectures by Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, below that, I want you to read this one, Pandita. Begin with that.
Okay, Pandita means those who are learned. Learned means Brahmana, not Shudra. Shudras, they are not learned.
Lecture.
Mlechas, Mlechas, Yavanas, Shudras, Kirata, Hunandra, Pulinda, Pulkasa, Abhira, so many. Learn means Brahmana. Learn means that one who knows that Brahman. Brahman, the spiritual soul, is part and parcel of the Supreme Brahman. So, one who has come to that knowledge that I am not the body, I am spirit soul, Aham Brahmasmi. That is knowledge. Knowledge begins from there. If one does not reach to that point, Aham Brahmasmi, then he is animal. The animal thinking like that. I am rickshaw. I am motor car. I am cat. I am dog. I am this. I am that. That is animal thinking. But a person learned thinking is that I am not this body. I am part and parcel of the Supreme Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. And when you are further advanced from Brahman knowledge, the knowledge begins from there. When you make further advancement, then you can understand that I am eternal servant of Krishna. This is perfect knowledge. First of all, knowledge begins that I am not this body.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. So, for us to gain that understanding that I am not this body, I'm spirit soul, is a very big deal, isn't it? And this is, we have obtained this mercy because of Srila Prabhupada. Otherwise, we wouldn't even know this simple knowledge. We would be still in the misconception that I am woman, I am Indian, I'm a doctor, I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a that, I'm a mother, I'm a daughter-in-law, I'm a son-in-law, whatever it may be. And we would be caught in that web of entanglement of trying to get happiness through all these different isms or identities, but our real identity is eternal spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna, meant to love and serve Krishna. That's it. And once we come to this understanding, life is so straightforward and so simple and so clear what we need to do. Serve Krishna, love Krishna, offer your cooked food to Krishna, engage in hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, offer your services to the devotees or help them in some way. It's so clear. Our life becomes so straightforward and simple because now all the nonsense has fallen away. And we have come into who we really are, our constitutional position of loving and serving Krishna, because dormant love for Krishna is in everyone's heart. And just by chanting, just by hearing, and just by understanding more and more this philosophy, we bring out more and more and more of that love that we have for Krishna, which means we love all living entities. We love everyone. The devotee doesn't discriminate on the basis of body towards anyone. So we do prasadam distribution, like Bhagwan Narada and Naradi are just going out there and giving out the mercy and distributing prasadam and the holy name. And many devotees in many other parts of the world are doing the same thing, because people may not understand, but at least they will get prasadam. At least they will get the holy name. At least some purification will begin. because we have to also be sensitive to the times. We have to be very careful in our preaching. We should not indulge in speech that agitates the situation or makes it even more inflamed. We have to be very, very careful about how we preach also. We have to be very sensitive. And remember that verse of Bhagavad Gita where it says austerity of speech consists in speaking words that are pleasing, truthful, beneficial, not agitating to others, and regularly reciting from the Vedic scripture. That is in the Bhagavad Gita 17, 16, I want to say. Let me see if I can pull it up. I'm not sure. 17:15. Yeah. 17:15. And so our preaching has to be according to time, place, and circumstance, and we have to be very, very sensitive to the situation. I was just sharing that I attended this, I've been invited for Black Lives Matter prayer memorial, our interfaith group is headed by an African American leader, and he asked me to come and represent the Hare Krishna. And I shared what I was doing with a few people. And one Indian gentleman, I don't know what struck him, he sent back a scriptural quote with a picture of a dog, saying, a dog, let me be your dog, let me be at the door of your temple, let me just be, neglected, this thing. And I was thinking to myself, if I preach this kind of thing to the people, who have already been discriminated against, would I be doing a service or a disservice? How inflaming and how hurtful. It's like putting salt into the wound by going out there and telling people you're nothing but a dog of the Lord. So it just, just hurting them even more. So I was thinking later on to myself, my gosh, of course, these people, they're a little fanatical. So they have this thinking that every situation you have to come up with a Vedic Shastra quote some verse from the scriptures, and that's preaching. But we have to be very careful how we present this, because Satyam Briyam, Satyam Priyam. That means truth must be spoken sweetly. So we have to slowly cultivate people. We have to build a relationship with them before we start hammering them with shlokas. That is not the way Prabhupada did. That was never Prabhupada's mood. In fact, in the beginning, Prabhupada didn't even speak about the regulator principles. He simply gave them love. He gave them prasadam. He gave them the holy name in the form of chanting and kirtan and classes. And slowly, as they got more and more attracted, many devotees, they just came because of the love Prabhupada gave. He said repeatedly, we were there because of Prabhupada, the love he showered on us. So we want to build loving relationships. We want to show caring and concern before we hammer people on the head with shlokas. It's not appropriate to do that. When they are ready, then they will ask questions and they will be ready to hear. And that time we can explain. But meanwhile, they will see us. Oh, here are these Hare Krishnas. There's a person in a black body, there's a person in a brown body, there's a woman, there's a man, there's a child, there's all nationalities, there's all kinds of, socioeconomic classes, and they're all working together. This is the real United Nations. Srila Prabhupada said ISKCON is the real United Nations because all people are coming together on the basis of one platform, uniting because we are all trying to serve Krishna. That is the basis of unity. So we want to portray what Prabhupada has given us. We want to share what Prabhupada has given us with the rest of the world. We want to be good examples. We want to be exemplary in our behavior because we want to show people that this is the real thing. So they need to see us on our best behavior. They need to see us on the best platform of really being caring, sensitive, kind, and sharing whatever good fortune we have with everybody. So I will end my talk at this point so that we have plenty of room for discussion, questions, realizations, comments, like that. Is that all right?
Yeah, I like the point that you made about us, like kind of like when you went to that rally, you couldn't say certain things, and it made me kind of think how we're kind of transcendental marketers and representatives of Krishna, like really understanding this concept of being agents of Krishna consciousness. So we have to know who our audience is. We have to know the people that we're speaking to. We have to set an example. And when you just go upside the head of somebody and kind of just slam them with these really hard terms and rules and regulations, it's really just being insensitive and selfish. And that's a big thing to say, you know, because you can say, oh, well, I'm presenting Krishna consciousness, but even presenting Krishna consciousness can be a form of sense gratification. You know, when you just go into an arena and you just start slamming things down and forcefully putting the mantra on people. You know, on Sunday we had our little talk, we had a little gathering, and we just closed our mouths and we just listened to everybody. And we felt like we were connecting, and there were people pouring their hearts out saying, this is the most connected I have felt to my San Antonio community in the 10 or 15 years I've lived here. And people were just pouring out their frustrations, their heartbreaks. And I felt like that's half the battle, is listening, understanding where people are, becoming their friend, not being so attached to what your ideals or religious views may be, because somehow or another they can always be engaged and they can always get association, they can always take prasadam, and they can reciprocate. And we were there on Sunday and there was this huge church rally. It was crazy. We weren't expecting, there was probably about 250 people right in the middle of the park where we were having our event. And we just thought like, oh my God, how are we going to get through this? And they were playing their Christian music, and they were soft about it, but they were really kind of condemning things publicly. And you could see there was 200 of them. They all had their matching T-shirts, and they felt, well, just because there's 200 of us, now we can really do what we want in a forceful way. So it's like, even if there's one or there's 200, we still have to be tactful, and we still have to be sensitive to the people's needs before our own, because we have it. We have gurus. We have Prabhupada's teachings. We take them to one degree or another, accept them. They don't. And it's very unattractive, and it's very counterproductive if we just go out and start shooting on a whim. So we still have to gather our thoughts. We have to think, like you were saying, you thought strategically, like, should I say this? We have to, like, you have to pray to Krishna at the end of the day for the intelligence. Even I didn't go out, and we just chanted the Sridevi prayer, and it was enough. I didn't feel like, really, I was going back and forth with my wife. I said, I'm not going to say anything. And then I felt like, okay, Krishna inspired me to say a little something. And I said, well, we're not going to chant. I told her that. I said, it's too much. And then I said, you know what? If the energy felt right. So I think there's a certain part of Paramatma within the heart of ourselves and others that we have to pray to and ask for guidance from at the end of the day. And then Krishna will just allow you to understand what the energy is of the room, how sensitive we should be towards the others. But that happens at all given moments. It's not just certain situations. So it's difficult. We have to constantly be meditating on super soul within the heart to say the right things, to act the right way. And that's full on meditation. So we have a tendency to rely on Krishna within our hearts when we're in those times of being tested maybe, or suffering, but we should do it at all times. And that's part of the Krishna consciousness understanding, is that Krishna is within the heart at all times. We don't just pray to Krishna residing within us and other living entities when we're caught in a pickle. So I really appreciated that point of understanding how we're marketing the holy name. And we have to do it in a relative way according to time, place, and circumstance, which means audience, ultimately. From what I've been feeling lately, time, place, and circumstance just means audience. How am I going to relay this message to these particular groups of people? Jesus said he told people, thou shalt not kill. There's a reference, I believe, in the Quran that says, don't have intercourse with your mother. So this shows you what type of audience they were dealing with. When you have to tell somebody, hey, don't kill, it's bad. Don't go after another person's wife, it's bad. So obviously he's not going to tell that group of individuals, hey, God's a blue boy and he plays a flute. So it might be a bit too much. So time, place, and circumstance, I think ultimately, for me, It means who's my audience and how am I relaying this message, or how am I exemplifying the character of a devotee. Those are two kind of aspects of time, place, and circumstance, because devotees can go off on a whim and we can just say, oh, Prabhu, time, place, circumstance. I ate all the halava and there's none left for the other 20 people. So it's just, time, place, and circumstance. I was hungry. So it can be an excuse if we don't utilize it properly. I forget what the Sanskrit term is for time, place, circumstance, but I really appreciate it.
Desha Kala Patra.
Where can I find that?
Desha Kala Patra.
It,
Time, place, circumstances.
yeah. So, yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciated that point.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. You really opened up a space for people to pour out their hearts. And to me, that is a great service that you can do to the people right now, because there is no safe space. Where will they go? Whom will they speak to? Everyone is so hurt, so wounded, traumatized, and everyone just doesn't know what to do with that pain. So when you provide a safe space for people to just let their guards down and to just share and express their pain, that itself is a huge service. It means that you're willing to listen. It means that you're not uncomfortable with others' pain. It means that you're extending yourself to them in a loving way, in a caring way. And that is the first thing of building any relationship, is to just be there for the other person and for people to feel, oh, there are some really nice people. I can relate to them. I can be with them. They seem to understand. I want to go there again. The whole point of the attracting mood is to attract them to come closer to Krishna by being exemplary devotees ourselves. So, we really want to be very, very careful, as you said, about the audience, about the times, and how to reach their hearts in such a way that we don't inflame the situation more, but we actually become agents of peace, soothing, and loving energy. I actually sang the song, Make Me a Channel of Your Peace. Of course, I prayed a lot to Lord Chaitanya. I had written to my Guru Maharaj. He said, keep praying to Srila Prabhupada, and this process is not so much intellectual adjustment or scholastic ability or linguistic proficiency. It's a process of accessing the mercy, which is exactly what you said, that every moment, Paramatma is trying to tell us something. Our job is to be in tune with that and go according to what Krishna desires and what Krishna wants, and how to please him in every moment. That is really the challenge, because we are many times carried away by our own ideas of how it should be and what we should do and how we should do it, because we are still in the shower. But really tuning in more and more and more to what Krishna wants in this situation, that is the key to doing the right thing, because Krishna knows what is best, and he will guide and teach us how to behave, how to speak, how to do. And the more and more we purify ourselves, the more and more we will be able to hear Krishna's voice guiding us. So this is a very dynamic process. It's a very delicate and what to say, multifaceted process. But the more we hear, the more we chant, the more we read, the more we hear how Srila Prabhupada handles different situations, the more and more expert we will be in conveying what we are trying to do, because the need is tremendous. There's a tremendous need for spreading Krishna consciousness, because the world is on fire. I'm working with this interfaith group for climate change, and the statistics that are coming up in every meeting, what's happening to the land, what's happening to the water, what's happening to the different species. We have lost about 200 species of life, permanently extinct now in the last 10 years, simply because of the pollution. Oceans are becoming dead zones where there are no fish anymore. I mean, all kinds of things are going on in the name of so-called industrialization and progress and everything. We are actually going backward. And this COVID is nothing but, infected meat coming to teach us a lesson. Mother Nature is giving us a big slap, saying, don't think you can just do anything you like with my living entities. Here's a good lesson for you. So unless we take these lessons seriously and make those changes, there's going to be more COVIDs, and the subsequent months might be even more sinister. So we have to be taking this mission of Krishna consciousness with utmost seriousness. My dear devotees, this is the world is on fire and we are in a battle zone. So we have to equip ourselves with everything possible to go out there and do a good job, because as Srila Prabhupada said, this is a war. Becoming a devotee means more or less declaring war on the illusory energy. So she's not going to keep quiet. Maya is very powerful. She's very strong. So she's going to push us back. So the battle is of the mind over here. The battle is in the heart, trying to push away all the anarthas that we have. And this is what we are trying to do now. Anartha Nivritti, becoming steady, becoming focused, becoming determined, becoming fixed, so that we can be very effective instruments for the mercy of our gurus and Krishna to come through, so that we can reach the people and give them what they desperately need, Krishna consciousness.
Bhakti Tirtha Swami, he said that, you know, when people come to spirituality, they want some peace, some comfort when they do something good. But he says, when we come to the transcendental platform of serving Krishna, all hell breaks loose. And I just thought that you know, we can't come in thinking that it's going to be an easy ride. And it starts with Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. It starts with hearing, listening, like how important it is to listen to, of course, devotees, to listen, but also to new people who are looking for some sort of change. You know, I was sharing with my wife, I don't mean to keep going, but I had this dream last night that I was with some Bhakti Center devotees in New York or something. And I was talking with them and I said, it was something very like minimal. It was like a very simple analogy, but it was like there's many different types of fabric, or there's many different types of cloth, but they're all considered fabric. And likewise, there's many different types of suffering, but ultimately it's material. And so we're serving, and that was my dream. And then I woke up. It was like Krishna speaking to me. But I one more thing to conclude on is we were out there, we're serving people, and they were opening up. We had one girl cry in the middle of our circle. You know, we had a couple other choke up. And it was very diverse, Black, white, Mexican, you know, it was amazing. We even had people that were just walking in the park join us. And they said, wow, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever been around, you know. It was one gentleman who was saying that we're all people, we're all the same. And you can see he has a concept of it. But I was thinking, like, and then we'd have these homeless people come up. One guy had scabies on his face and he had feces on his backside. And I had my gloves on and I fed him about 4 different plates and he was just totally out of it. We had another guy who came up and he was having a conversation with me. And then I realized he was speaking to himself, but he was very articulate. And he was another homeless guy. And it was like, you would swear somebody was right in front of him because he was so articulate in his speech, but his brain was just in another dimension. And then you see these smart students and activists and protesters, and you're thinking, even myself, you know, we're all suffering to different degrees. And there's really no distinguishment, you know, between us, except that some may have a little bit more conscious perspective on life than others. But still, we're all suffering as long as we're here in the material world. So we should all come together as peacefully as we can and share and listen. And then when people are ready, when I'm ready, when others are ready, we can dive into deeper subjects and topics when they're ready to go that. But first we have to listen because we're all suffering in many different ways. So there's something nice about really being back in the fire of things, which is where I love to be, which is where I'm going to continue to be. I don't have to worry so much about previous issues, but there's also a very deep risk at times. Like my wife and I know that being out there, even though we're social distancing, we're we're putting a lot on the line, but still I thought, well, you know, if I get sick, might as well do it here. You know, it might, if I end up leaving my body, what better way to do it? I just feel like there's such an urgency in myself that I can't really define. I can't understand what it is, but I just have so much desire, and I feel so. My wife and I were up talking till 2 a.m. because we were just so enthusiastic about the service we did, and we were just recapturing and refining and thinking about different tactics and thinking about how to become more genuine to these people in the service that we're doing to feed people. And there's just such a certain amount of enthusiasm that you get when you go out on a limb and you sacrifice a little bit. So these are just a few kind of other things I wanted to share about suffering and listening. We have to listen to what people are dealing with in order to properly diagnose it. Prabhupada didn't just come and start whipping people over the head. He was listening and observing from very low class, low caste human beings, chandalas, meat eaters, you know. So likewise, we have to do the same, and it's an austerity to sit there and listen sometimes, because we have the medicine and we just have to hold on to it, you know. So I really appreciate these points that you're bringing up. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for you know, going out there in the battlefield and doing this. As you rightly said, you know, we are, you know, at risk when we go out over there, you know, contracting COVID or who knows what not. But then, you know, as Srila Prabhupada said, preacher takes risks for Krishna. And then protection, you know, if he desires me to get COVID, I'll get COVID. If he doesn't, if he desires that, no, I'm going to protect my devotee so she doesn't get COVID, I won't get COVID. It's all in his hands anyway. So we do our best, you know, and leave the rest in Krishna's hands. The need of hour is really to reach out to people and to give them a safe space, to help them to understand that someone cares, you know, someone cares, and that someone happens to be a devotee of Krishna. And so they'll remember that, and they might come back again saying, this is a really nice group of people. I want to be back here. I want to eat that special food they bring. I want to listen to the songs they sing. It just makes me feel so peaceful and happy. You know, that's how we draw people in, because as George Harrison says in the preface he wrote to the Krishna book, everyone is looking for Krishna. They don't know it, but they are. This is the very first line he writes.
Yes.
So just imagine what great good fortune we have received to get Srila Prabhupada's mercy after so many millions of lifetimes. We have been given this great mercy, and now it is our duty to pass on that mercy, to somehow, you know, share our good fortune with others. Because but for the grace of God, there go I could be that poor person, you know, who's just absolutely, you know, completely bewildered, dumbfounded. At least we know that we are not this body, that this is temporary, that this material world is not our home. We know so many things, and it is our duty to share them in whatever small, humble can. Must try to give the mercy to others. Maybe very small, but so what? Lord Ram, you know, when he was building the bridge, there was a little spider. And that little spider with his little legs was just breaking up one grain of sand and bringing it to the bridge, again going and bringing another grain of sand. And Hanuman was picking up huge, big boulders and mountains. And, you know, he was laughing at this little spider. Come on, get out of the way. What are you doing? And Lord Ram said, no, he is doing his service. You're doing your service. Both are equally pleasing to me. So don't chastise him. Don't stop him. He's doing what he can. So we are like that little spider, what we can really do. But if we sincerely try to do our best, then Krishna will give us more. He will see, okay, this soul is trying very hard to serve me. I will give them more facilities. I will give them more opportunities. I will provide the right avenues. To me, it was really a great opportunity to speak, because normally for any program, we have to spend thousands of dollars, you know, arrange for a stage, arrange a microphone, send out invitations, do the advertising, call people, do so many things. Here, everything was done. I just had to go over there as part of an interfaith group with others, Muslims and guys and earth-based spirituality. And I had to just do my little thing. And the leader had told me, you can sing, you can speak, you can do both. So I started with the Maha Mantra. I spoke about the philosophy in a very, very nice way, in the sense I never hammered anybody with shlokas, but I gave the philosophy straight. I said, every living creature, all of us here, are invaluable, precious children of God, and nobody should be tormented on the base of the body. That went down very well with the crowd. They were really so, there was loud applause actually at that point. And that is Bhagavad Gita. But I didn't say, here is a verse from Bhagavad Gita and so, say it in Sanskrit that no one can understand. So we must preach in such a way that reaches people's hearts. And then I said, we all have to become those channels of peace. We have to become those ambassadors of love and messengers of hope, because we want to be the change that we want to see in the world. And then I ended with a song, which is, by Saint Francis of Assisi. So what? I'm a Hare Krishna, but the message is universal. So I sang that song. And actually, Radhanath Maharaj mentions this prayer, by the way, in his book, Journey Within, about how someone gave him this prayer and how he likes this prayer so much. So if there was some hardcore Hare Krishna saying, why did you sing this Christian song? I had my quote ready. Radhanath Maharaj has mentioned this prayer in his book like that. But luckily, actually, later on, one young man came up to me and he said, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. And he said, Hari Bol. And then he said, I'm so happy to see a Hare Krishna stepping up and speaking up for these people. I'm so happy to see someone being an activist, that too in a woman's body, because, pardon me for saying this, I've been associated with ISKCON for 12 years, and I know women are treated as inferior people in ISKCON. Can you believe that? And he also went on to say, in ISKCON, we blame the victim. We tell them it's your karma, it's your this, it's your that. So I'm so happy to see a Hare Krishna activist, that too in a woman's body. And I was thinking later on, whoa, we have so much work to do to change the impressions people have of Hare Krishnas, that women are inferior, they're treated as inferior, and that we just knock people on the head, those who have been victimized themselves, instead of sympathizing, instead of caring and sharing. We hammer them on the head saying it's your karma, you're at fault. It's such a cruel thing to do that at that point. Of course, we understand ultimately, karma has a huge role to play in our suffering. But that's not what people need to hear when they are in that suffering phase. They will come to that point little by little. But as Bhagwan Narada shared, and how he and Narada are just making a safe space for people to pour out their hearts, that's devotional service. Helping those wounded hearts to heal, that's devotional service. That is the most important thing we can do for people at this point in time. So thank you so much for being brave enough to open up that space for people to let out their anger, their frustration, their pain, their suffering. Not many people like to hear all this, or not many people want to do this, but it is the need of the hour. This is the need of the hour. Very important.
Yeah, my new thing has just been very, like, there's one more idea. It was my turn to talk. I decided to talk, and I actually said this. I was very bold, and I said it in front of everybody that was there at the circle, because I was opening up to a certain degree, and I said, I'm here as a person that is religious, and I'm here as a person that is trying to become spiritual. And I said, but I'm also not here to forget that I'm in a human body, and that I have a certain degree of humanity that that's inside of me, and I have to fulfill that. Like, I'm not going to go so far down my rabbit hole that I just kind of stick to my own lane and I forget about people around me, or I forget the fact that I'm living in a city with 2 million people. So I'm out here to support, and we're out here to feed. And it was kind of bold. I said something along those lines, basically like, I'm not here to just recruit people and put my religion down at everybody's throat. And I think especially with this generation, it's very important to be straightforward with them. These kids and these people in their 20s, early 30s, late teens, they have been put into way more situations where they can see things a lot more clearly than those who were brought up in the 50s, 60s, 70s. Like you have the internet, you have Facebook, you have YouTube, you have so many, you have the whole world at your fingertips. And they're a lot more sensitive, I feel, than even my generation. There's a lot of sensitivity. There's a lot of justice that they want to see amongst the lesbian, gay, queer, trans community, the Black community, the brown community. I mean, people want to see it put into motion. And that's what I said. I'm out here to serve. I'm not out here to just kind of like say that I'm a spiritualist, but actually out here to put the wheels in motion. And I think that that's when people can appreciate, when you can go up there as you did and speak and say that I'm a part of the community, rather than you know, we're here, we're on our pedestal, and you know, join us.
We have to be relevant, we have to be sensitive, and we have to take as many people along. That's what we are here for. Prabhupada said, make local devotees, make the local people devotees. When Brahmananda went to Africa and he was, mostly drawing in Indian, Prabhupada said, no, go and speak to the Black Africans. It's their country. Make them into devotees.
Yes.
We have to make local people devotees, not keep importing pujaris from Mayapur all the time and do that, bell ringing business. We have to do, but we have to preach. We have to tell people about Krishna. We have to encourage them in their journey, because every soul is dear to Krishna and every soul is on their journey. And when Krishna sees that, Krishna sees here is a soul who's really trying to do what I'm, because Krishna is all the time trying to pull us back to him. He actually helps us more and more and more, which is what we want. This is what we want. We want more of Krishna. The more we get Krishna, the more we get Krishna. So we have to do this. We have to help this world. Otherwise, what are we going to leave behind as our legacy if we don't make a difference? Our lives are meant to make a difference to this world. We want to be activists. We want to be frontline workers. We want to join in the pain of people so that we can pull them along. But if we don't even join them, we live in our own insulated bubble saying, oh, I don't know about all these people, I'm going to do my own thing. Then we are not really doing what Prabhupada wants, because he came and he went to where even the drug-crazed hippies were and gave them Krishna consciousness. That was Prabhupada's mood. I'm going to try and lift every soul. I'm going to try and save every soul, because he's in the mood of Lord Chaitanya. However fallen, however weak, however insane you are, I'm coming to lift you. I'm coming to take your soul back to my loving abode. That's Lord Chaitanya's mood. We want to somehow or the other keep that mood going. We don't want to become complacent or, feel that we are better than others somehow. Who knows? By the mercy of Prabhupada, we are here. But for that mercy, we could be over there and those guys could be over here. And wouldn't we want them to be merciful then to us? Wouldn't we want the devotees' mercy to save us? So we have to be very compassionate and we have to work in the field. Rita, want to say something? She's been silently listening. Or Naradi?
No, Mataji, I don't have anything. I just want to appreciate the services that Narada Prabhu and Mataji are doing. It's literally like I feel something really great. They're daring to go to the people and trying to show the compassion as well as trying to bring them into Krishna consciousness. That's really very nice.
Yes, very commendable. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Naradi. Thank you for all the wonderful things you all are doing. It's amazing, actually. I'm sure Prabhupada is so happy with you all, so pleased with you all. You'll get so much more opportunities for service and advancement, and everything will come. Sincerity is the most important thing. Once we are sincere, Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Ye Jana Paripashate Tesham Nityabhiyuktanam Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. Krishna makes this promise in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, to those who constantly worship me, meditating on my transcendental form, I carry to them what they lack and I preserve what they have. So Krishna will make up for all that we don't have, and he will preserve what we have. Isn't that wonderful? It makes me feel so blessed. It makes me feel, yes, I have so many deficiencies, I have so many anarthas, I have so many, lack of this, lack of that, lack of that. But Krishna's promises, I will carry to you all those things. I will make up for what you don't have, and I will preserve what you have. So we have to feel very confident in our chosen path. We have to feel very brave and very confident, very enthusiastic that Krishna will give all help. There's nothing to worry. We will go forward very bravely, knowing that Krishna will give all help. Naradi wants to say something.
Hello? Hare
We can
Krishna.
hear you. Hare Krishna,
Okay.
Naradi.
Well, one of the thoughts that I've been having lately, especially with the conversation we've had today, is that whenever we're working as a team to do these kind of preaching efforts, sometimes we have to take a humble role in the sense that, like, maybe somebody else knows how to reach these people better. And I've seen this like struggle, just like you got that email of that Prabhu that gave you the quote and about the dog being a dog of Krishna. And like that, like, to work together, a lot of times, like, not everybody, you have to be humble in the aspect of understanding how is it that I can serve. Maybe I'm not like this frontline person, but maybe I can serve in some other way to help the efforts and things like that. And that's how, like, I've seen a lot of devotees like really get into it with each other because, like, just be upset with each other, like, oh, I know how to do this better, or I know how to do this better. But we all have, like, a role to play in this.
And this is how we learn. This is in the association of devotees. We learn how to give up our false ego, how to overcome that. We may make mistakes because, we are all in the shower. Sometimes my false ego or behave in a way which is not, nice. But this is the beauty of association of devotees, that they are tolerant towards me and they give me a chance to understand that I'm going wrong and to correct myself.
Mm-hmm.
Time around, I'll understand, no, this is not a good mood, because Srila Prabhupada said, you will prove your love for me by how you cooperate to push on this movement. So then next time around, I will be more careful. I will say, no, if Naradi says wash the dishes, I will wash the dishes. If Naradi says chop up the carrots, I'll chop up the carrots. If Naradi says, can you give class, I'll give class. Whatever they say, because they're the leaders and know what needs to be done, they will assign me my duty, and my job is to do that service as nicely as I can. That way I will be contributing in a very nice way to the whole effort. Because what does TEA stands for? Together, everyone achieves more.
I like that.
So when each of us does our role so nicely, that it becomes synergistic. It's not 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 8, is 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 15, 17, 18, 100. Because it has a multiplier effect. It has a force multiplier effect. And that powerful effort becomes so pleasing. And Srila Prabhupada writes in the 5th canto, King Rishabdev is talking to his sons, and there the Lord is telling Rishabdev's sons, I am so pleased by your mood of cooperation that I am going to grant you any benediction you desire. How much blessings come, when we all, I'm just, how I wish I could be with you all in San Antonio. I would just love to be over there and do whatever little bit this old lady can do. Because
we would love to have you.
Oh, thank you so much for your kindness. Let me see. I just would love to do that. I think I just need to get out and come over there just to be with you all because it's so energizing for me to be with you all. So, when we all come together like this, the Lord becomes so pleased that He grants benedictions. He gives the blessings. The facilities come, the money come, the people come, the boga come, everything comes because Krishna is seeing, oh, they're trying to do my service. I'm going to make it easy. I'm going to send all the things. I'm going to remove all the blocks. I'm going to take away all the obstacles. I'm going to smoothen the road so that they can do more. They can do more. Then we all become so enthused by that because we see Krishna is reciprocating. Krishna is, sending all these things. We become so thrilled. We become so much more enthusiastic. We start, high-fiving and saying, yay, so-and-so is coming with this boga. So-and-so is bringing the microphone. So-and-so has made that arrangement. It just makes everyone so enlivened. And then people pick up on that mood and they say, I want to be part of this exciting adventure. I want to be part of this wonderful thing they are doing because they're so enthusiastic and there's so much happiness here. This is how we attract people, by our enthusiasm, by our happiness, by our cooperating together. We attract people by that positive energy. His Grace Jayananda Prabhu, he was so fired up all the time that a new person who was watching him at that point, he was just emptying out the garbage, putting all the garbage cans in line and that person was watching him and he's saying, if the garbage man of this temple is so happy, I think I want to join this place. This was the power of Nanda. He was so happy all the time, just blissed out in devotional service. And when he would go out into the markets, he would be so friendly with everyone. People would just give their leftover, whatever vegetables that they didn't want, fruit. This is the way he would bring boga to the temple because they didn't have money in those days. This was before even book distribution. He would work as a cabbie and he would bring that money. He would go out, right, and he would make friends with everybody in the marketplace. Many of them couldn't pronounce his name. They would call him Johnny Ananda. Johnny Ananda, because he was so happy and he was so blissed out. And he would engage everyone in whatever way possible. He would catch passers-by on the road, that first Rath Yatra, because they didn't have space. It was being right there on the road. He would say, hey, brother, can you just give me a hand with this? Can you just help me? And he would engage people like that. And, their devotional life began like that.
Mm-hmm.
So when we have this mood that we are one big family and we are all together trying to serve the Lord, miracles happen. Miracles, marvelous miracles happen. I just hope there's a miracle and I'm transported like that to San Antonio. Wouldn't that be beautiful? I really, truly would love to be with you all and join you in your efforts. I guess I have to just figure it out. I'm getting enthused just thinking about it. Maybe Krishna is trying to say something. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, I guess we'll wrap it up because it's a little over 2 o'clock. I hope it has been useful and beneficial. I have definitely become very enlivened just speaking with you all. So until the next time we meet.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hari Bol. Bye, Harita.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.